Back at it today with another video, as in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at every team up to this point in the season and how they're playing to their preseason expectations. Pretty simple concept here, so let's get right into the video. All right, first team we're going to be looking at today is the Dodgers. Dodgers, they're good every year, so they have high expectations coming into every season, and so far they're first in the NL West and they have one of the best records in baseball, so I'd say they're right on par with expectations. They're very good, but they are also expected to be good. Arizona Diamondbacks. They've been a pleasant surprise to start the season. Now, I was one of the few people, or maybe many people, but I thought they were going to be good coming into the season. I have them as a postseason team, so this is not very surprising for me, but for many people, I think this is above expectations. I don't think they're way above expectations because a lot of people like myself did see them as a potential sleeper to be better than they were in the past, so they're still above expectations, but not quite way above expectations. New York Yankees, they're playing pretty good, obviously similar to the Dodgers. They have very high expectations, and so far they've been a good team, don't get me wrong, but for their standards, I think they're expected to be better, so I think they're below expectations up to this point. New York Mets, another team with very high expectations coming into the season. I believe they're at 500 right now at 23-23. And for a team like the Mets, who has made big moves in offseason, picked up Justin Verlander along with Max Scherzer, and a lot of the talent they have, they're just really talented. This is a tough one, but I'm going to put them way below expectations. They're expected to be one of the best teams in baseball, and they're simply not that. So I think they're way below expectations. Seattle Mariners, they've been hovering around 500 all season, and they were expected to be close to a 90-win team, I would say, so they're not necessarily right with their expectations. I think they're below expectations, but not too far below. I think they're going to get it going, but up to this point, they have been a little disappointing. Toronto Blue Jays, another team who was expected to be good this year. I think they are a team that has pretty high expectations. I don't think they're playing above or below. I think they're right with their expectations. They're obviously in a very good division, so it's tough to compete in that division in the AL East, but they've been keeping up pretty well. St. Louis Cardinals. This is a team very hot as of late, but just a few weeks back, they were the worst team in baseball record-wise, other than the A's, I believe. So while they are hot, and I think they are going to probably make the postseason, they're still at this point in the season playing well below expectations. They're below 500, and they still have one of the worst records in the National League, so they're way below expectations, although they are heating up. Tampa Bay Rays. This is a team that is record-wise, best team in baseball, so they're definitely playing above expectations. I think they're playing way above expectations because, yeah, they're expected to be good every year, but not this good. They have gotten up to a historic start, and they're still playing very well, although they have cooled off a bit, but they're still one of the few teams that I think is playing way above expectations. Philadelphia Phillies, they are playing way below expectations, in my opinion. They were World Series team last year, as we all know, and they were expected to be very good this year, and they're playing below 500 baseball up to this point, so definitely a team that has been very, very disappointing. Atlanta Braves, they are expected to be very good, and they have been very good so far. I wouldn't say they're playing above or below expectations. You could maybe say that they're expected to be a little bit better, but I don't really think that's the case. They've been playing right with their expectations up to this point. Cleveland Guardians, another very disappointing team here. I had them winning 100 games preseason. I know not a lot of people were predicting that. I was maybe hyping them up a bit too much, but they've been really disappointing so far nonetheless. I still think they are way below expectations. I think they are still looked at as potentially a team who could make a deep postseason run, but offensively they've been really bad, so they're still playing way below expectations. They were expected to sort of run away with that division, and that's just not the case. San Diego Padres, this is probably the team that has been playing, probably the most disappointing team in baseball so far. They have picked up superstar after superstar. Xander Bogaerts, may not be a superstar, but he's definitely a star shortstop, and they just have one of the best offenses on paper, and so far they've been statistically one of the worst. So all around, they're 5-6 games below 500. They are a huge disappointment. Houston Astros, they got off to a very slow start, and they've been very hot as of late. They're getting back up to where they should be, top of the AL West. They're still, I think, to this day, record-wise at least, playing below expectations. They're expected to have one of the best, if not the best record in baseball, and they're not there yet. Well, they might be in a couple months because, like I said, they're heating up. They're just not there yet. So I still think they're slightly below expectations. Chicago Cubs, this is a team that many people are expecting to break out this year, potentially sneak into the postseason. So far, they haven't been really doing that. They're 4 or 5 games below 500. So I think they're a team that's below expectations who I think has the potential to pick it up. Texas Rangers, this is a team that is way above expectations. I know they did pick up Jacob deGrom, Nathan Eovaldi, and Andrew Heaney, so they beefed up their starting rotation. They have a good offense, so they were expected to be good, maybe 85 wins, I would say, but right now it looks like they're on pace to win 90, 95, maybe even close to 100 games. They've been on fire to start out the season. Adolis Garcia, Marcus Semien, they're just off to very hot starts, and the Rangers are really fun. I'm glad that they're good, and I think they're way above expectations up to this point. Chicago White Sox, after a down season last year, they have gotten worse this year, so I think they're a team that's way below expectations. I know not a lot of White Sox fans were expecting much from them this year, but still, they should not be this bad. Like, they're one of the worst teams in baseball, and they just have not been good at all. Next up, we have the Milwaukee Brewers. This is a team that I think has been playing right with their expectations. They're leading the NL Central, I believe, up to this point, just ahead of the Pirates. And I think they're an 85, 80, 90 win team, possibly, probably high 80s, I would say. And they've been right on par with that. They've been pretty good, so not much to say about the Brewers. They've been playing right with their expectations. Minnesota Twins. This is a team, again, that I think is playing maybe slightly above expectations. This is a tough one. I don't know. They're sort of right with their expectations too, but they're leading the AL Central, so I'll give them above expectations as of right now. They're, like I said, leading their division, so they've been pretty good so far. Their pitching especially has been great. Baltimore Orioles. This is a team that I think is way above expectations. They have top 3 record in baseball. They're almost catching the Tampa Bay Rays at this point, so the O's, they're not what they once were. They were expected to be pretty decent this year, but not this good. So I think they're a pleasant surprise for Orioles fans and fans across the league. So they've been a top 3 team in baseball up to this point. Cincinnati Reds. This is a team, not much expectations coming into the season, and they've been sort of playing as they were expected to, not very good. So I think they're right with expectations. Detroit Tigers. They've been actually surprisingly good, very quietly. Not many people talk about them, but they're only like 2-3 games below 500, and for them, I think that's a very good step in the right direction because Riley Green's been playing well. Javier Baez has been a little bit better as of late. Eduardo Rodriguez is one of the best pitchers in baseball so far, so Tigers, they have a little bit of excitement here. They've been playing above expectations for sure. Pittsburgh Pirates. They've been playing way above expectations. Yes, they've cooled off a lot lately, sort of fallen back down to reality, but they're still overall a very good team. They're, I think, 4 or 5 games above 500, challenging the Brewers for the NL Central right now. So they've been still way above expectations, although they have fallen off a bit recently. Boston Red Sox. This is a team that I think is above expectations. I don't think they're way above expectations. They weren't expected to be good, but they've been good in a very competitive division, and they are sort of on a little bit of a string of losses here. They won last night, but prior to that, I think they lost 4 straight, so they have been falling off a little bit lately. I think as the season goes on, they'll start to level out and fall off in the AL East, which I hate to say, but I think that's the case with them, but they still are playing above expectations. Colorado Rockies, they are a team like the Reds, not expected to be good, and they haven't been good so far, so they're one of the most boring teams. I hate to say that as a Rockies fan, but they just don't have much exciting talent on their team. So I think they're a boring team that is not expected to be good and just hasn't been good up to this point. Los Angeles Angels, I would say they've been playing slightly above their expectations. Even with Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout, they have been above 500 up to this point, which is pretty impressive for them. They've been probably the most disappointing team in baseball since they've gotten Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. They just waste their talent every year. But this year they look pretty decent, and who knows, maybe they could sneak into the playoffs. I think they've been above expectations so far. Kansas City Royals, they have been very bad so far. They have no pitching, so they didn't have expectations coming into the year, but I still think they've been slightly worse than expected. So they're expected to be bad, like I said, but I think they've been a little bit worse than even they were expected to be. So I'll put them below expectations just slightly. Miami Marlins, they've been right around 500 all year, and I think that's good enough to get them in the above expectations category. They have not too much expectations coming into the season because their offense is pretty bad. Sandy Alcantara has been pitching uncharacteristically bad, so it's actually a surprise to see them as good as they are. So I think Miami fans have to be pretty happy with what the Marlins have done up to this point. San Francisco Giants, they've been pretty bad. They've been sub 500 pretty much all year long, and I think they're looked at as a team that's sort of going to be right around there. So I think they are playing right along with their expectations, maybe a little bit underwhelming, but not enough to put them in the below expectations category. I think they have been right sort of with their expectations. Washington Nationals, another team that's right with expectations. They were expected to be really, really bad, and they've been really, really bad. So, yeah, not too much to say with them. And last but certainly not least, or maybe least, I like Oakland. I hate doing that to them, but I don't want to talk down on them. But they, like the Nationals, were expected to be one of, if not the worst team in baseball this year, and they have absolutely been that. So, as low as expectations were coming into the year for Oakland, they have somehow set the bar maybe even lower. So, you know what? No, I can't do it. They were expected to be awful, so I can't put them below expectations. They're playing right with their expectations. All right, so there you have my MLB team expectation tier list up to this point in the season. Let me know what you guys think down below. I'm curious to see what you guys think if you disagree or agree on any teams. As always, I want to thank you guys again so much for watching and continuing to support, and I'll see you next time.